money off him.
But first, we are, as I said, joined by Julie and Annie, and we're talking about Hop Tu Naa traditions. And just off air then, you two were talking about some traditions which I've never heard of. I mean, what are some of the sort of quirkier traditions then that you've both come across? What would you say?
I don't know really. We're just talking about the spoons that you use. Today we use drills to drill out the turnips because it's such a hard work.
It is
particularly
hard work
when you get a big massive turnip. But in the old days, I only ever used to use spoons and dig it out. And I've actually got a really good spoon, but I don't think my spoon is half as good as Annie's spoon.
No, and I'm laughing at in the old days we used to use. I'll have you know, we still do use spoons in the Kissack house. And we also grow our own turnips, so we can control the size of them when we're rooting the middle
You don't want
of,
them
which
too
helps. No, in our house when we were young, and I've still got it, and we still use it. We had a very special spoon, and Julie was saying that they also had a special spoon, but ours was Uncle Willie's spoon. Uncle Willie was my great uncle, and he lived in the middle of Onken, and he always made a great thing about he would leave us some laxy silver spoons when he'd gone, and we've always used a laxy silver spoon ever since, as if it would give some of the best luck and the good wishes of Uncle Willie as we rooted out the. So this is not a tradition. I don't think that anybody else has, but I think this is the great thing about Hop Tu Naa. Everybody does things their own way as time goes on and changes it and develops it. And it's a nice link for us with the past and our forefathers and my great uncle and no doubt the rest of them.
See, that's what I love about Hop Tu Naa, because, people say, oh, why Hop Tu Naa? Why not Halloween? Why are you pushing all this? But there is exactly that, Annie. There's the links, because Halloween, yes, people dress up in outfits or whatever, and they might take their pumpkins around, eat sweets, that sort of thing. But there doesn't seem to be that sort of real tradition and link that's sort of carried on through the years. Why do you feel it's important, Julie, to carry on these traditions?
Well, I always think of it as the end of the Celtic year and the start of the new year, the sort of into 4 seasons. I think it's a little bit like Hogmanay. They turned it into the 1st of January, end of December. They put their Hogmanay and have a great big feast there. But it's coming to the end of the summer, the autumn. They're getting rid of the animals they can't keep over the winter, storing a lot of them, but there'll be still a lot of them left that they could sort of eat and use for a feast. And so it's just an excuse for a good feast and a good party, really.
Yes, but I think there's a powerful emotional pull in this too. I mean, the sort of symbolism of the light and the dark, these things are ancient, aren't they? They're at the heart of all our religions and our art and so many things. And you probably don't articulate or even be particularly aware as a child of that. But I think perhaps as you get older, you become aware of this as a sort of very powerful time. And in fact, the fragility and the wonderfulness of life too. And they're all sort of there in the scary bright thing that can both intimidate and also look out for you and guide your way with your lantern. It's that those opposites together, and I think that touches something very elemental in all of us.
That's so beautiful.
It really is. And do you think that's maybe why we're sort of we're enjoying sort of reviving some of the traditions that have sort of faded slightly, and we've got something to really connect to because we're looking for that authenticity these days?
Yes, possibly.
It was never revived when we were young. It was just an ongoing tradition. It never stopped. And it's only these days that it sort of seemed to need a bit more, whether it's because people don't want their children going off on their own around the streets because of perceived danger. I don't know what it is, but it seems to be more of a revival now. But when we were young, it was just part of what went on.
You did, and marking the seasons, and your growing and your independence to
Well, you mentioned there the importance of the lanterns, of the moots, the turnips there, Annie, and I think it was last year I first saw this. You wrote a poem, obviously being former bard, you wrote a poem about moots, and I absolutely love it, and I believe you've brought it with you. Would you read it for us?
Of course I would.
I'd love to hear it
Let me just
again.
take my glasses off so I can actually read the words. There we are.
Annie Kissack, thank you so much.
Moot. The summer has gone, its light has fled. We go warm-wrapped against the cold this Hop Tu Naa, weighted with our dull-thawed wonders, inexpertly carved, hacked with grinning mouths, cracked asunder, open. candlelight reluctant flutters, stutters against the strange resistance of the night. Hold it to you, hold it tight. Night-scented, deep-rooted, apple-scattered, old. The winter has come, the nights are long. We walk, word-weaving to your house this Hop Tu Naa, lisping, softly limping verses, nursing words half-heard in puzzlement, absurd, abandoned Manx. Melodies, uncertain ripple, roars at the tight-drawn curtain windows of the dull. For we sing songs of turnip skull, of time-dented, long-looted, flesh-shattered, Moot